name's Kay Dupree, and I'm with the Janesville League of Women Voters. We're happy today to be talking with candidates for the Rock County Board of Supervisors. With me right now is Cathy Myers, who is running for Supervisor of District 24. And we're glad you're here today. We have 3 questions that we'll be asking. Clearly, there's many other things we could ask, but we've limited it to 3. And then you will, anyway, we'll get started on that. Okay, based on your experience and background, how will the county board benefit from you being a supervisor?
Well, I would say that that I think it'll benefit by the fact that I'm a very hard worker and I am an engaged and involved human being. And I guess I can't help it. I was sort of raised that way. I like to tell the story about how my dad, at age 10, asked me why I didn't have a job yet, as an example of how I've been working.
Get out there, girl.
I know. And and both my parents were, incredibly involved people. My dad served at every level of government in Iowa at one point, and then also coached Little League. And my mom volunteered for the Scouts, and also at my at my school. And so it's it's just the way I was raised. It's what I value. And I think that I would bring those qualities to the board. I think that is really important. And I think that, as my dad would say, or my mom would say, I don't just sit around and soak up the heat. I am actively engaged and I work very hard. So.
Okay, well, thank you. All right, you are well aware that in our county and in the community there is an increase in poverty. The county has responsibility from the state to respond to a lot of those needs, though they don't always provide the money to do it. So what kind of trade-offs would you foresee having to be made so that the needs of the people can be met?
Mm-hmm. Okay, good question. And that's, it's so true that we've got those kind of trade-offs. I think the first thing you always trade off is waste. And I think that I've been a little concerned about some things that I think may be areas that we need to cut down. And for instance, we're well aware that we have plenty of county employees. We have a pool of talent, professionals, and that kind of thing, but they're not always utilized well. And there has been, on occasion, a bit of a push to privatize some of the work that's done in the county. And I'm a little concerned about that because oftentimes, not in every case, but oftentimes privatization tends to be a little more expensive. You can't control cost overruns, you can't control changeovers and that kind of thing. So I think we need to look there first, and we need to use our talent pool really incredibly well. And by doing that, we make ourselves lean and mean and flexible. And the more flexible we are, we will be able to handle the issues of poverty, and children who are homeless, and because there's no shortage of issues, and so we need to be able to remain a bit flexible in order to meet those challenges.
Okay, thank you. And thirdly, what strategy would you like to use to make sure that people in your district are aware of what the county is facing and when decisions are made, so that they know what is coming down the pike?
Well, first of all, let me just say that this is the information age, so there's no excuse for not communicating with anybody ever. And so I will use things that I've used in the past. Social media, it can be incredibly effective. I use Facebook and Twitter and other sorts of things to notify people about events or ask them for opinions on certain situations. There's of course electronic sources like people who like to be on an email list of announcements. Developing a website is very easy, and there's blogs. As a matter of fact, I'd like to start writing a blog. And the neat thing about a blog is that you can interact with people, and they can talk to you about what you've said and that kind of stuff. You get feedback that way. For people who prefer more traditional methods of communication, I will do what I've done as communications officer of almost every organization I've ever been a part of, which is flyers and op-eds and mailings and that kind of thing. But honestly, the most important thing that I could do, and it's the most, it's the thing that that the most effective public servants do is get out and meet people. You know, go out, make yourself available, get out in your community, knock on a few doors, and that kind of thing, because nothing beats face-to-face.
Okay, sounds like you're going to stay busy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, I've been talking with Cathy Myers, who is a candidate for District 24, Rock County Board of Supervisors. We appreciate your being here with us today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Hello, my name is Kay Dupree. I'm with the Janesville League of Women Voters. We're happy today to be talking with the candidates for the Rock County Board of Supervisors. This is District 24. Rich Bostwick is the incumbent from that district and is on the ballot again. We will be asking him 3 different questions and listening for his response. So Rich, we're going to start out by asking about your experience and background and how the county board benefits from you being on as one of the supervisors.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. First of all, I have been on the Board of Supervisors for 6 years. I'm on 4 committees, the chairman of 3, and to start out, I think that's pretty good experience for being on the county board. But I have experience way beyond that I think qualifies me as being a good board supervisor. My public experience goes back about 15 years, and I'll just hit some of the highlights and some of the things that I think I've gained from each of those. I started out in a group called the Friends of Rockport Park, and that's a volunteer group that looks after the park and tries to keep it in a natural condition. We've done a lot of things with the city of Janesville. We formed a bit of a partnership, and that partnership has led to the restoration of a lot of services that the city once provided but then cut because of budget. So I learned about partnerships there. I've been the vice president and treasurer of Keeley Pharmacy for the past 13 years, and my experience there has shown me what the struggles and concerns of small business people are. I was a trustee on the Black Hawk Technical College board for 6 years, and right in the middle of my tenure is when GM closed down. So we had a lot of people that were left scrambling, trying to reinvent themselves so they could go back into the workforce. And I think the college did a great job of providing additional classes, increasing staff, using flexible hours. So I think from that experience I gained flexibility and the need to be responsive to things in a hurry. Another service that taught me a few things is one called Above and Beyond Transport. That's a dog rescue outfit. If you know me, you know that I'm a big dog guy. I've adopted 4 dogs in the last 12 years, and a couple of the dogs that I've adopted have come from an outfit known as Above and Beyond. It's just a rescue website. Anyway, after we adopted a couple of our dogs, I thought, boy, I should really know a little bit more about this, and so I got involved, and I'm one of the transporters. We actually shuttle the dogs from usually down south to a location up north, and this wouldn't be possible without a vast networking system that's in place. So from that I picked up that networking is very important. I'm also involved with the GIFTS program. The GIFTS program is a volunteer effort that helps homeless men with providing them with clothing, shelter, food, and resources. So from that I learned about compassion, and all 5 of those things, partnerships, networking, understanding small businesses, flexibility, and compassion, I think all of those are good tools that a good supervisor needs, and I have gained those.
Okay, well, thank you. Nice comprehensive answer there.
A little long, I guess. Sorry.
As you're well aware, the things in our county have changed. There's a much more of an increase in poverty and unemployment, and this county is charged as an arm of the state to provide services to a lot of these folks, but they don't always provide the money that's needed. So what kind of trade-offs would you foresee might have to be made so that we could meet the needs of the people?
That's a good question. Poverty is one of those things that really has me concerned, and as a board I know we like to do what we can. There's no mandate for us to actually deal with poverty, but we can deal with the symptoms. But when you ask about trade-offs, I don't think it's really fair if you can start looking at other departments and saying, well, you know what, the roads department, they seem to have a lot of money, maybe they don't need that, or the Board of Health, they can do without this or that service. I don't think that's fair. Most of the things that we do are because of mandates from the state, and most of those are or underfunded. So it's a money issue, as it always boils down to where are we going to get the money. The pie is only so big, we can't really grow the pie. So I guess the answer to that question, rather than trade-offs, is that we look to do things more efficiently, more cost-effectively. We can form partnerships, and we can look for places where we can share services. I'll give you a couple of quick examples of how we've already done this. The criminal justice system was revamped a couple of years ago, and we've implemented 3 programs within that have saved money. One would be the Work Ender program, where inmates get to work off some of their sentence by going out into the community and helping out in various projects in a controlled environment. Another one is the drug court, where people that are arrested for drug offenses are dealt with a little bit differently, where treatment is the emphasis rather than incarceration, which is a cost savings measure. And another one is the electronic monitoring system, where nonviolent offenders can serve some of their sentences at home, and they of course are watched closely by people. So those are 3 examples, and I can give you one more if I have time. A few years ago, the Rock County Health Department was looking to merge with the City of Beloit's Health Department, and there was a lot of concern about that, thinking Beloit might get the short end of the stick, but they went ahead and did it, and that saved a lot of money, and there's no let up in service. So I think if we're more efficient, more effective in what we do, try to look for partnerships, try to look for shared services, I think we can then find the monies that we might need for something like poverty. Craig Knutson and all the department heads in the county, I think they do a really good job at trying to keep spending as low as possible while providing quality services. And if you've ever been to any of the budget meetings in November, you'll know that everything is gone over pretty much with a fine-tooth comb. So we have looked at ways of being innovative, ways to cut costs, ways to partner, ways to share services. And I think if we continue doing that, we'll be able to find money for things like poverty that we might need in the future.
Okay, well, thank you. And finally, what strategy have you used or do you intend to use to inform the residents of your district about issues the county is facing or decisions that have been made?
That's a good question. I often tell people that the toughest thing about being a supervisor is the communication aspect. How do I know what people know? How do I let people get in touch with me? So it's really a 2-part question. And I've been knocking on a lot of doors lately, and what I've been doing when I knock on doors is asking people, giving them a little survey. And the first part of the survey is, how do you find out about what's going on in Rock County? And I found that about 67% of the people use the Gazette or Gazette Online as their source of information for county matters. About another 43% use WCLO. Okay? And when I asked the people if they were happy with the service they're getting, the news service providing information about the county, it was an almost overwhelming yes. They're happy with that. I would like to make one recommendation, though. I would like I'd like the Gazette to maybe on a weekly basis, perhaps on a Monday, have a little section where they talk about nothing but what's going on in the county. Maybe call it the county corner or something like that. Anyway, they'd list what meetings are going to be happening, the location, the time, and maybe a link to the agendas so people can take a look and see what's going on. If it's of interest to them, hey, show up. These meetings are all open to the public. The other component is, how do people get in touch with me? If they have a concern or a question about something that's happening in the county, what's the best way for them to get in touch with me? And my little survey found that 73% of the people prefer the telephone. Okay, I was a little bit surprised, but I was glad to hear that. My name is in the phone book, always has been and always will be, so I'm available that way. About 61% of the people said they'd feel more comfortable sending an email. So I thought, okay, that's fine. My email is well known, it's all over the place, and I respond to emails promptly as well. Farther down the list, with about 17%, was Facebook. And I thought that that might have been a little bit higher, but anyway, 17% of the people said that Facebook might be a good way to communicate. And right now, I'm the only supervisor that has a Facebook page. And I'm hoping to change that. In April, I'm scheduled to give a presentation to the full board, kind of a show and tell thing where I'll let them take a look at my Facebook page, tell them what it's all about, the work I put into it, and whether I think it's worth it or not. What I'd like to do then, if there is interest, is have any supervisor that wants to can come to a workshop put on by the county IT department. And at that point, we'll set up Facebook accounts for everybody interested. Facebook's not for everybody, but there's a growing segment of people out there that do use it, and you know, to be effective with communicating, I think you need to try to use a variety of approaches, and that's what I plan on doing.
Okay, well, thank you. We've been talking with Rich Bostwick, who is the incumbent and also a candidate for the Rock County Board of Supervisors, District 24. Thank you for being with us, Rich.
Thank you, Kay, and thank you for listening.